Good morning.
Hi.
Okay, so let's see. This is going to be our working session. I'm prepping here. Share screen. Start. Not a share screen, share window. There we go. Sure. Hey, Nicola. Sorry, just. Oops. I'm editing the wrong. Oh, here we go. Okay. I. Oh, Terry.
Hi there, how you doing?
Not bad. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm just going to add steps here for people to follow along. So as a reminder, after discussion last time, Nicola's gonna do the final step of her process, which is now that she's set everything up and set up the preliminary architecture, show us how to get in here. So the first step is to clone the repo. And then Nicola, we're recording, I believe, so we can post this. So whenever you're ready to start walking us through how to get to the point where we're making edits and staging, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I didn't really prep for this, but
don't worry, don't expect perfection.
Yeah. All right, let me just pull up what I have here. So everybody here, I think, was added to the team, right? The Netlify account.
I was.
Yep.
Did anybody not get it?
Okay. So from what I understand, if you are on the account, the idea is that, yeah, once you've done your clone and you submit a PR, that that will trigger a preview build, and it should appear at the URL in the Netlify account, which I will try to pull up now.
So one of the things that I was confused by, and I was hoping you could clarify, and I can show you what I saw, is that it prompted me to create a workspace. The language was a little bit weird. I'm like, I think this is my space, but the way that it was described, it's like you're creating workspace for the whole group, and I was hoping that wasn't true.
Yeah, I haven't, so I didn't have the benefit of doing a preview because I did one PR to actually like put the preview site up, and I haven't done any PRs since then. But in Netlify, if I go, let me just put this in chat. If I go here, I get a like a dashboard basically. And under there, it will show you production deploys and then deploy previews. And I believe the previews are for when there's a PR. I actually see a deploy preview right now.
See, if I take that link, I
That
get
link.
This page not found.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so this is why I was wondering like if Netlify is if there's something special we have to do to have a group.
That I do not know because yeah, Tracy had said they had something like this set up.
What you'll find is when you do the registration, it makes you set up your own workspace for your personal projects. But then if you then go back to the homepage or log in again, you'll see that you're a member of the best practices group, and then you should be able to see stuff from there. That's what I found anyway.
So you're able to see the best practices group?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I did something wrong.
You might need to
yeah, so right now if you look at
refresh.
your if you look at your workspace on the top left, can you pull down what do you get any options for CDF there?
Nope.
Interesting.
And this is the part I was confused by because I went through registration. It wouldn't let me join an existing project. It forced me to create a new one unless I should have.
I know what I did. I clicked on the registration link and it made me do all this stuff. And then after I'd created this, I clicked on it again and it then successfully registered me to the CDF group and I got the drop down.
All right. Can you re-invite me then? Because I just clicked that link again and it said that it had timed out or that it was no longer valid. And then Jalander and Vidic, were you able to register or did you try to register?
Oh, I haven't tried to register. In fact, I'm just following
along
what's going on. I'm super new to this.
As are we all. This is a rookie session. We're learning how to be content creators, except maybe Terry. Terry seems to know how to do everything.
Yeah, I'm happy to follow if there are any instructions that I can quickly look into.
We're starting to create the instructions right now. So
I see.
Do you want to drop your email into the chat, Nicola, if you're able to make sure he's added as an invitee?
Okay, I think I have contributor access. I'm not sure if I can invite people, but I will.
So that was Tracy. Okay, so I'll have to bug her about
it.
Okay.
So Nicola, on the cloning side, is it necessary to also recurse submodules?
I think when you build, it gets any modules that are needed. I believe when the automated build gets triggered, it will pull in what's needed. You just need to get what's in the repo.
Right, because in the doxy documentation, it suggests that you clone their example project with
which is what. Yeah. So the site that we have is a clone of their example site.
Yeah, so it might be sensible to to add that flag to the documentation, just in case it's necessary.
I'm sorry, which flag?
I'll need to look it up specifically, unless anyone can remember it off the top of their head. I think it's recurse submodules. Let me just see if I can find it.
Oh, it's an option to git clone.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. -- recurse -- submodules.
That's the one.
All right. Let me try that.
I don't happen to see any submodules committed to the repo.
Yeah, it may just be necessary when you do the initial copying of the example site. I'm not sure if it's necessary for contributors.
All right. Well, to be on the safe side, I'll just add it to the recommended option. All right, and I'm supposed to be bugging Tracy. Okay. So, so Terry, it's working for you as far as having access to the right site?
So I was able to fork the repo, make some edits, and set up a PR. So I've moved all the introductory material from the original document into the new site, and that's sitting there as a PR at the moment. It needs work to tidy it up, but I wanted to just test the end-to-end process to make sure that we get it working.
All right, I have pinged Tracy. Do you want to then, okay, so you did this clone. And then, so when we look at,
so I forked first into my GitHub account and then cloned my.
Oh, you forked it. That's actually a really good point. All right, let's put, let's see, how do I do this in Markdown without making it do weird formatting? I'll just do this for right now. Fork of, there we go. Okay, and then once you did that, let's see, the README, and I'll update the README as well. So and you have a PR in the site. Okay. Oh, look at that. There it is.
Yeah. And then once you're set up with Netlify, you'll see that there is in the dashboard a deploy preview. And from there, you can look at a preview site that shows a deployment of the
Okay.
the PR
I will stop
version of the
share.
site.
Can you or Terry throw up that view?
I can show you what the view looks like on my machine, sure.
I think you could probably just follow the link in the logs.
I saw it briefly.
Yeah, just I keep messing up the audio settings whenever I share because there's like some checkbox. Okay. I wish they would just say not to share the tab audio by default. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, now you should be able to hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the dashboard here. And then if we go to the site, then from here we have the production deploy, right, which is what's out there now. And then we have this one, which has the PR. So if we go here, you're then able to say open deploy preview. And that will then take you to, opened up in another tab, but it will look like this.
Naturally. Okay.
Yeah, so this,
So if you go to learn,
Down at the bottom, you mean?
oh, there we go.
Oh,
any
that
of them, and
Aha.
then where to start.
Ah, yes, that is new. That was not there before.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it was, and yeah, just looking at the URL here, it is a different, this is the preview site, right? So that's where the PR is deployed as opposed to what we have in as the production deploy.
So is from a engagement perspective, like as we start to get multiple contributors to filling in the content, does the platform have some kind of syntax validation or other spot checks that help make sure that something weird didn't happen? Or do you just have to eyeball it in the preview?
So what I was also doing before I had actually like deployed to Netlify is you can run it as a Docker container. I think
That's right.
the
You were
Docker
mentioning
file,
that before.
yeah, the Docker file's in there. And actually, if I go back to this preview here, since I have it up, oh, why did that not work? Maybe it didn't deploy. Okay, so here we go. So I have some information here from the docs on running the site locally, and the Docker file should be in there. So this should work. You should be able to run it locally and kind of preview it locally to see if anything's like horribly broken before you decide to open the PR. So that's one way to go. And then I think this is from the template on how to use the Netlify stuff, but I haven't modified any of this. So like, I don't know if this actually, works or anything. But the idea is that, yeah, if you're in the team, you should be able to see the deploy previews. But if you're not in the Netlify account, I don't think you'd have access to see this. So anybody who's contributing who's not in the Netlify account, I don't know how that would work specifically. I know that Tracy said things were set up for the CD landscape in a similar way to this, with it's also using Netlify and they have the previews. So I don't know how they do reviews for anybody who submits a PR that isn't on the account. That's the puzzle piece that I don't get.
Right. Okay.
Because all of us here, all of us who are here and contributing and part of the Netlify account, it should be fine. We can look at the deploys and it'll all be like, happy rainbows and stuff. But I don't know what would happen if you wanted to be able to see your stuff other than locally. I mean, I think running it locally would probably be the only option if you aren't part of this Netlify group.
Okay.
So a couple of points on this. The dependencies for the Docker image are quite a ways out of date, and there are some vulnerabilities as a result. I don't know if there's a specific reason why we're on an earlier version.
So we should probably
installed.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
I installed Hugo locally and was able to run a local server and edit against that. But the only thing that you have to be careful of doing that is that it wants to modify the Node.js dependencies, which are part of the Git repo. So I didn't check those in because they're referring to later versions of some of the libraries.
Oof. Which is, I mean.
So I think the Docker image might, I don't know for sure, but it might have been created by someone actually at Google as a convenient way to be able to do the local previews. I could double check. I could double check with Jerry about who put the container together and whether there's someone who might be able to update it. Aside from that, yeah, there are the instructions on how to run the Hugo server locally without Docker that we could use instead. But yeah, that's an option too.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we'll need to have a process in place for maintaining the dependency tree for
Yeah.
this.
I'm trying to think if Dependabot would work on a Docker file.
Yeah.
The way that it works like on a Palm. I've never tried. I bet there's a way to do it. Or if we think that, I mean, my goal would be, let's do whatever is going to make it the most automatable to keep us clean. And if that means not using the Docker file, and
yeah,
just
I would also try to find out what CD Landscape is doing, because they already have something in place with Netlify, and I know Tracy was going to look into it, but I don't know what came out of that.
Which Tracy?
discussion.
Miranda or Reagan?
Yeah.
All right, let me look at
the
CDF
one who
Landscape.
the one who is normally here running the meetings.
Okay, Miranda.
Yeah.
All the Tracys look alike, except they really don't. All right. They definitely are not using a Docker file, or at least not obviously. All right, I will add that to my list.
So what we'll need to find out is what the build process is on the Netlify end. So what happens when the magic happens in that PR build, and then we'll need to keep any of our offline assets synchronized to the versions that are being used in that. But we'll also need to make sure that that is being kept up to date.
Sorry, I had a brain fart. So there's packages. Okay,
So there's two things going on.
Right, we want to make sure that we're up to date as far as bad packages or old packages, but we also have to match Netlify itself.
Yeah, well, whatever's in our build process for our Netlify instance is what we have to get the downstream stuff aligned to. But also we need to make sure that that is actually being maintained so that it's on secure versions of dependencies in the first place.
Yeah. Naturally, there's this JavaScript. I've avoided this ecosystem for very silly reasons. Just Brendan Ike pissed me off so much when he was creating it in the first place. Just which is a terrible reason not to use a package. All right. Okay, we can figure this out. We should have done it in Python Django. I'm totally kidding. Completely, totally kidding. All right. Okay, so let me just make sure we're capturing. So forking, we figure test locally be maybe put a note here. It might be better to containerized Hugo install. Need to sort out dependency checking. And upstream. Okay. All right. Regen. Invites for Tara and Vidic at least. Vidic, did you get one at all, or?
Say again?
Did you actually get an invite?
No.
You didn't get one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want one, or are you mostly lurking? which is fine. I won't bother having Tracy send you one if you're not interested in hacking.
If it's not additional work, I mean, I'm trying to be regular. This is my second attempt.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. It's your second attempt for what?
This is my second attempt to attend these meetings regularly. So
Okay. Well, then
I'm not sure if I'm going to do it.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's start you off with maybe someone who can help with pull request reviews.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else, Terry, that you ran into in your initial?
So I've got some questions for Nicola in terms of capabilities with Doxy, because I'm sort of vaguely familiar with Hugo and haven't used Doxy at all before yet. So I wondered if we could tweak the template to give us a cleaner sort of call out box. So at the moment, if you use the greater than sign in Markdown, you basically get an orange bar next to the text. It would be nice if we could actually turn that into a tidy sort of box around that text, because I think the use case for this is being documentation is mostly going to be visually marking out things as being important call outs in the in line of text. So I don't know if that's something that we can do easily.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of CSS changes you want to make, or yeah, it would just be a matter of going in and figuring out where it is on the CSS. So you're talking about. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So you're talking about, you said like the little information boxes or things like for notes and.
So if you use the markdown for a call out in the CSS at the moment, what it does is it takes a paragraph and puts an orange line down the left hand side of it.
Oh, and you're saying, can you enclose it with a full box?
It'd be nice if we
Right.
could make that look a bit more unique for the site and make it easier to see. This is an important piece of information that we want to call out as a quote.
Yes. Yeah, that's totally doable. I can take a hand at trying to figure that out. The one interesting thing I do want to say about that, though, is there has been actually research around those sort of notes and warnings and stuff. And if you start putting a lot of them, similar to banner ad fatigue, people actually will skip them. So you do need to be sort of judicial about their use. Yeah.
What I want to do is do that thing where, like a magazine layout, where you would have certain panels where key points are drawn out in the panels, but then they're also repeated in the text. So that if somebody is just skimming the page, they can skim the key points as call outs, but at the same time, the detail will be in the narrative if they bother to read through in it a bit more closely.
Yes. Okay.
Now we can set different page types, can't we, within
yes,
Hugo?
absolutely.
So at the moment, I don't think we've defined, so we're just getting whatever's default. But
we are getting.
Might want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please clarify on what you've set up at the moment, so we all understand what we are getting right now.
So there are some in the Doxy. I don't know what they call them, but basically like various templates for these various pages. There are some defaults that come with it, and we can always either modify the defaults, which I have done in a few cases, or we can spin off our own variants, and then you just reference the kind of page that you're using. I'm trying to find an example now, but you can, like, oh, I think it was this one. You can, for example, like put a box at the top that kind of summarizes things as a little bit of an announcement, for example. So that I can look for how that style's set up and use it for some of the other callouts like notes. And then there are page styles. Yeah, and then there are page styles used for things like the main landing page when you land, and it looks a little more visual, and you scroll down and it has sections. That's using a different template, whereas the documentation, I've really focused it on using much more of a, table of contents on the left, content in the middle, and a mini table of contents on the right. But if there's something else you think we need beyond that as a page type, or if there's a reason why we want to make those distinctions, that's definitely something we could adjust for sure.
My gut feel at the moment.
Sorry, Terry.
Sorry, yeah. I think we're probably going to encounter two broad classes of pages at the moment. So there's going to be one which is mostly narrative with perhaps some images. And then there's going to be another class which is more example based and may have snippets of code or configuration in it. And we'll probably want to have two different document types to manage those, so we can get a consistent look and feel across them and easily edit that for the whole site, whilst making it easy for contributors to pick one and work within it.
I guess the question I'd come back with is that a need for a difference in layout, or is that a need for more of a template that would say, okay, things that you contribute should include some predefined sections and maybe some comments in there that have some guidance about what to include in each section? Or do we actually need a different look for sort of the best practice information versus the example kind of information?
I think the answer to that's probably both, because the templates make it easier for people to create new instances of something. So if we set up archetypes to do a particular style of page, that would accelerate the setup if people want to use that. But at the end of the day, it's about simplifying the ease of management of a set of CSS for a particular look and feel. So if I think that the document type is, if I believe, the easiest way to classify a given page. But I'm willing to be corrected on that because I'm not an expert in Hugo.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that sounds like a good, I don't want to call it a phase 2, but a parallel track of effort. I think it might be, maybe we should start I don't want to call it a tech debt doc, but to have a notes doc somewhere where we capture ideas as we start putting more of this content in here. And maybe there might be, I think I'm following what you're saying, Terry, I'll have to think about it a little bit more, but there might be a couple of things like this that will then want to have maybe take all as one pass and do a sort of a site revamp once we get the content in.
So this is the user experience track. So somebody's going to need to maintain the overall style and the consistency of the pages and make it fit on brand and stuff like that. And so we want to try and separate that as a concern away from the way the pages are actually constructed. And it's there in the mechanisms, but we just need to make some decisions about how we want to do that and what the initial standards are going to be.
All right, I'm capturing a note here.
I just wanted to highlight one other thing too that's unrelated, but I wanted to make sure I don't forget. Just looking in Netlify, I was mentioning that I'm a contributor. I'm noticing there's another category here for reviewers, and it specifically says that reviewers are free. So I'm wondering if that is a way that we can have additional people who aren't part of the sort of core team for best practices, but who are reviewers and are able to see
At least see things.
see the previews for PRs that come in. So that might be worth looking into.
Good note.
So another example of a sort of user experience thing that might be interesting to try and work out is whether there's a good way to have a if you like a next button that automatically goes on a page or can be coded on a page, so that you can have a thread of navigation and people can page through that thread every time they reach the bottom of a section, rather than having to drill back up to the menu. And
if we expect that there are certain sections that will be read in a linear way, then that makes sense. But there are a lot of cases where that might not be necessarily the case.
Yeah, I guess the question there is, for those, are we actually going to have distinct pages, or are we just going to have a longer page, single page? So that would be another question. What'd you call it? User experience, or?
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have the longer page, then you don't get the benefits of the automatic menu navigation in the tree on the left-hand side. So, so then becomes
unless it's
harder
floating,
to,
and those are ugly, right? And it's also harder to bookmark into a specific
well,
section.
that tree is automatically generated based on the child pages that you have created.
Right. Okay. You can tell how much
So,
I write. I develop content like this. Big fat zero. Okay. Oh, that's a good point. All right. We'll capture that. So let's see. So far, let me make
the
sure.
ultimate thing that would be really nice to be able to do is to have those journeys be different depending on where you came in from, so that
I
we
was thinking
could
about
have
that. And then I was thinking, oh, that's going to be hard.
Yeah,
but
that
it's
is
really
definitely,
idea.
It is definitely going to be hard. Another thing to consider is that there is support for tags. I think on a few pages I put some tags in there just to see what they look like, but tagging pages is supported. So if there are certain things like this page applies to security, or this is a best practice page as opposed to a example page, I don't know, or this page is relevant to a particular tool, then there is some tagging that we could take advantage of. And then that way we're not sort of held to any linear structure. A page can belong to more than one category, which is the nice thing about tags. So that's something to think about as well.
Multi-page gives advantage. So I'm capturing notes here. Bringing more detail to TOC and dear bookmarking. Okay. So far I have the text highlighting issue and then single page versus multi-page. Was there another point you brought up, Terry, that I spaced on? Make sure we capture that around the content organization.
It was just the stuff about having a narrative path through the
Narrative
through the
path.
content. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good paths. Okay. I was describing those as user journeys, and I'm like, wait, that's not what he said. Okay. All right.
I mean, it is a user journey, so.
I mean, yes, but the narrative path, I think, is when I look at this again, is going to give a better association, slightly different to me. Okay. Back to me yet? No. Slacker. Okay, I will keep bugging her because I think I'm blocked until I can get that invite regened. Maybe I can ping Kara to see if she has access to it.
It looks like the only people who have owner access are Tracy Miranda and I'm probably gonna botch this name, Chris Anizek.
Oh.
I won't be able to pronounce that.
And it's Anschutz. Yes, it was this Chris
yeah.
Chris of the people of Would You Like to Buy a Vowel?
I was just going to say they're just insufficient vowels for me to know how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So those two have the owner role in this Netlify team, so they should be able to invite other people. It doesn't look like I can as a collaborator.
Yeah. All right, I'll bug Tracy about that. I mean, I can send a ping to Chris, but he's like VP something muckety muck
Got it.
for the Linux Foundation. So anyway, all right, I will own figuring out who, getting somebody who probably wasn't going to be any of us because none of us are staff for the foundation, but making sure that we get Tracy's owner account transferred to somebody. I'm thinking Kara might be the most likely person, so I will work on that.
Yeah, and then as I said,
or if I can get Tracy to respond while she still has it.
And yeah, it looks like the reviewer role is free, and it looks like you can just invite as many reviewers as you want, and they'd be able to see the deploy.
Exactly. So I think that would be useful. So that way people can have a low stress way to participate. All right. Okay, so I think we have all that, and I'll clean up the notes, but it sounds like we've got a decent start procedurally. Hopefully I'll get my access fixed today. And then we can start. My plan was to take a good chunk of Friday this week to start moving whatever Terry hasn't gotten to yet and get that over. Okay. Is there anything else we're missing or forgetting? All right. Awesome. Okay, well, shoot. I'm bummed that I somehow screwed up my registration, but I will go take a peek at your PR, which I'm sure can just be blessed, but we can start our best practices on the repo. So thank you for kicking that off, Terry. Presumably I'll be able to, yeah, because this is just GitHub, not Netlify. Oh, another thing will be to auto deploy on submit. Are we going to want to try and set something up like that? We'll have to see if CDF does that, or I'm sorry, the landscape does that.
Or I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, once the PR is once it's merged in, it will go to production.
Okay, so the site is just live to the head of the repo. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I get something we'll need to figure out eventually is if we're gonna like actually, slap a real domain on that. But yeah,
Oh, right.
because right now it's a Netlify address. So
Right. All right, adding a note. Thank you. See, there was something else. See, what is it for the landscape? I think it's like landscape.cd.foundation or something like that. Okay, let me bring it up.
This was the whole branding discussion that we were going to have, wasn't it?
Oh yes, it is the brand. You're right, Terry. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we need a
yeah.
We need a Tracy or a designate to continue that discussion. Where is the landscape? There
You know,
it
as
is,
an engineer,
interactive.
I'm having to do an awful lot of marketing stuff at the moment.
Yeah, so it's landscape.cd.foundation. So probably like bestpractices.cd.foundation or something like that. But let's, okay. Capturing the note. Okay, note is captured. Good call out. Anything else? Deploys, PRs, future CSS tweaks, God help us. Branding, participant management, license management. Well, something else comes up, throw the question into the chat. And we can take 10 minutes back.
Feel free to ping me on Friday if you need to pair on anything.
Sure, that would be great. If I can get to it early enough. Oh, damn. All right. Okay, maybe I'll start Thursday night and then drop you a bunch of questions if I have them, and then we can async it.
Well, I've got a US time zone meeting on Saturday morning at about 3 a.m. So
Oh, good God.
I'll be up anyway. So
That's just rude. So that means they're on the US side. That's like 5 o'clock. No, yeah. Wait, 5, 7. What are we at? 9? What's it? 8 hours right now? 9 hours for difference?
yeah, and it's a pan US meeting, so there'll be people from pretty much every time zone in it.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. Strong tea or coffee, whatever your vice of choice is. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. God, I feel like we're just about there, at least for phase 1 of the content. And then I'm sure it will get really exciting when we start trying to tweak it for look and feel. But one step at a time. It's fantastic. And then Nicola, we should chat with Jan about the Google,
Right.
The Google versions of things to go along with Anne Marie and who's that other guy who's been kicking around here, blocking on his name. There was a couple of other sort of proprietary, cool. Was it Gopinath? I forget. Anyway, but we can start getting
Yeah.
the vendor specific stuff examples in there, which I think will be kind of cool.
Yep, that'd be good.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the week. Go forth, survive.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.